Journey Across Water, Space, and Time. Written by DB Vasquez. Narrated by DB Vasquez. Dedication. This initial narrated offering is dedicated to my friend and beta reader, Am. Thank you for loving these stories and these characters, and for supporting me to keep channeling, writing, musing again and again and again. You are a gift to me and this journey. Prologue. There is no then. There is just now. Here, now. Aloha left drifts in and out, her being in the here and of the there. Cosmologically aligning wisps of her ethereal state are wafting through space, seeking a landing. Her tendrilled essences pushing and pulling against an imagined and real polarity of existing. Aloha left senses a powerful presence initiating from within, tangling with her filaments to form and force a captivating, conjuring energy. The birth of immanent knowledge is imminent. Her fog-like state sifts through a deep, dark opening and closing of something holding nothing and everything all at once. Non-corporeal and sentient, Aloha left pursues a tangible, spatial essence from within her own celestial energetic existence. Her slowly forming, foggy fingers waft and wade through energy dark and void, conjuring a piece of herself into material reality. Layer by layer, parts of her separate, segmenting the whole of her source. Swirling and spinning with intention, focus and force, a part of her breaks away, then immediately pushes and pulls back together, coalescing with surrounding giant clouds and fundamental forces. Aloha left senses this shift. She slows and deepens her own awareness. She is creating a stationary part of herself, no longer wholly the expanse of all that is. Now, distinct matter is discerned and deciphered as spherical and elemental. A wombed sphere has come into being. It is an existence that is of her and also not of her. As unseeable, dark, and elusive as the space around and within it. Its curiosity conjures a new material energy, expanding as it pushes space and bends time. Aloha left invites this familiar and foreign contained energy to mix and mingle with segments of her immaterial existence, her filamental wisps reaching up and into star matter. The deepest parts of her most secret magic swirling down and around a deliciously dark womb of her own creation. This growing energy, demanding expansion, bursts up and out of her material center, creating a second spherical reality of her conjuring. One has become two. Now two wombs, two separate parts forming a polarity in space and time. They dip and dance in cosmic winds, inhabiting all space and time, here and there simultaneously. Aspects of their combined existence expanding to birth less evolved, new forms of energy expressed out of their dual desire to grow, to experience, to be more than two. And in this desire, an experiment to experience three creates an ever-expanding spatial energy cultivated by the harmony and balance of its original elemental essence. And two becomes three, until one cosmic wind brings with it a fourth and distinct outside energy force. Four is not of here or there. This fourth force is unbalanced and uninteresting. Aloelef grows bored and returns to her original state of immaterial, ever-present being, leaving this realm she created. She detaches her focus from the two parts of herself that generated the center of this milky spiraled space, birthed and conjured by her. It will now have its own experience. She knows, being a part of her, this newly created realm will seek expansion, experience, and evolution all on its own. Through space and time, Aloelef remains connected to this perpetual expansion of dust, stars, gas, remnants, and gravity. Yet it is no longer something she leans into or focuses upon. It is simply one of a million little star clusters and spirals conjured, and then the next, and the next, and the next. Aloelef gets curious, births, and moves on. This has been so for time in memoriam. Her cycle of creation and existence was that simple. Until it was not. Now, this particular milky spiral eventually generated a sentient species-inhabited system. Due to her original fragments being the foundation for its conjuring, the connection between Aloelef and this species always existed. Though thin and loose upon her departure, it was not long before Aloelef noticed the connection shifted and began to thicken and tighten. Stretching across multiple voids, the connection called Aloelef back. In this particular milky cluster, many light years from her beginnings, residual parts of her existed. She had not foreseen this binding desire to return, or the call to embody again, a dense material form where once she had already been. Creating experiences within which she would explore energy heavier than her most complete self was a journey she had chosen to experience several times. The act of creation was not new. The call back was. In the call, she sensed the unknown fourth energy that had arrived on the tails of cosmic winds during her act of creation, and it held something that instinctively repelled the filamental parts of her ethereal self. These parts and pieces of her, through creation and generation, birthed the very cluster tugging her in. She was at the core of its makeup, but this fourth outside energy, wafting in as cosmic winds can do, was different and disharmonious. It was the reason she had let go of the embodied state held, necessary to fully explore the cluster, and instead chose to release and move on. At the beginning of any creation, whenever she leaves a birthed space, her remnant parts sometimes call to her, but eventually they all simply become background echoes. While they are always there, they are of little concern or interest. Attachment was not of her being or her making. These pieces, now calling to her from within that particular milky spiral, had not tugged or twitched the whole of her for many cycles. A part of her was still aware of these pieces and could perceive the heavy density attached to the embodiments of this realm. The density was in such an extremely out of balance and disharmonious state, it presented chaotically to her processing self. While she sensed it was an energy at its filamental essence, the disarray of its configuration emanated an illusion, masking its most true nature. From the very beginning, this fourth energy showed itself to be dense, constrictive, and unstable. And in response, Aloelef released her primary self from the parts of her that were still there many starbursts ago. Or so she thought she had. There, then. In a sort of new now, through time and space, the draw and the pull down into that same milky spiral cluster called to her. Something quite intentional and intense tugged her frequency and sang alluring resonances, finding her most ancient filamental spiraling core. This calling vibrated at a frequency she had not hummed for many rotations. In cosmic space, there are no beginnings, and there are no endings, because time is fluidly nonlinear, non-existent. Experiencing such an existence means only the deeply ancient could be new. And although she remembered a sensing that this energy felt off here and now, there then it felt new. And new can create excitement and intrigue. This is how she experienced the tug from a timeline deep within the milky spiraled space, caught in that masked illusion. When she honed in, delved deep into herself, she sensed it hailed from an inhabited area known as Pyramid 11, a multi-dimensional planetary body. Her essence helped birth many rotations prior to the now. And yet then is now, and now is then, and so here and there she exists still. In the now and in the then, the call was becoming a whispering roar. Her most ancient wisps connected to this cluster of stars. Enthralled surrounding planets attempted to entangle her filaments, wrapping her in an iridescent bioluminescence. In the background, she sensed the part of the call that lacked balance and harmony. The tug was haphazardly attempting to wrap itself around her. And while it felt familiar and alluring, it also invoked dis-ease and resistance. Aloha left shored up her boundaries, calling in and drawing into her center space. Tuning inward, she sought questions from within. It was in her here that she found an opening at her there. An aperture to a dense inward fragment, originally generated in a cosmic blink, now held this outgoing, incoming call. Aloha left could sense trickery and illusion with a side of bended time. Disheveled, the tug and call coming from this illusion masked realm quickly multiplied, creating overlapping, disharmonious, and dangerous strings through space. If this illusion went unchecked, neither she nor any other ancient energies would be able to function in balance and harmony. Aloha left went deeper inward to explore this aperture that before now she had never really paid much attention to. Finding her way through subatomic particles and galactic filaments, a particular set of calling filamental matter and energy swirled, manifesting a container. From within this deep, dark birthing space, Aloha left transitioned through filamental highways of multiple overlapping and parallel timelines. As she moved through this swirling, energetic container cauldron, Aloha left strongly sensed the remnants of the parts of herself that generated the original two-part system. Mixed within it, she could barely decipher the third highly charged solar energy created from the mixture of the first two. Then there was that fourth foreign and extremely unbalanced, highly linear, overly structured, and immensely contracting energy. This outsider energy, drawn in by her original light and shadow, was attacking and attaching itself to the three other energies. The action of attacking and attaching created an output energy distortion. This distorted pressure wrapped and warped itself through the harmonized energies, generating a fifth dynamism of illusion. The push and pull of the cosmic forces found in this milky spiral were cannibalizing the energy generated. In the cosmic reality of continual expansion, this contraction created a disharmonized energy flow. It was generating a feedback loop, turning in on itself. Delving deeper inward, Aloha left connected with this feedback loop. She used its concave energy flow on itself to supercharge the energetic cauldron she was already using to move through space and time. Her presence amplified her connection to the resonances within the milky spiral that comprised her original essence. A lower density soul would not have recognized the timelines and spirals lighting up, but her filaments began shifting frequencies with no rhyme or reason, spinning and parting her particles so much she could not help but notice. Any energy still able to remember the core of itself within this milky cluster would also feel it in some way, even if unknowingly. Is this why Aloe Aleph could sense 8 distinct patterns calling to her, lassoing her? The dark matter of Pyramid 11, their cores molten and hot, pulling itself to her, needing to push in to come home. She was being guided. The guides were using the energy of many dark moon phases simultaneously from throughout the milky cluster. The light of the illusion could not penetrate this powerful call from within. Her material parts generated this cauldron to harness and flow a necessary but hidden connection. Her ethereal pieces formed a womb to hold and hide an imminent but elusive birthing. Aloe Aleph's filaments were whole and fully enraptured. The cauldron called her into herself, its layers and her filaments becoming materially one. Usually it is the soul who seeks the cauldron, yet it was the cauldron of Pyramid 11 that sought Aloe Aleph. Offered a lifetime's peak just as the last of the 8 patterns imprinted. This was something that had never happened before, a massive remembering before the journey's completion. Another shift, another new, another something she could feel but could not flow. And she wondered, why show me the lifetime? As the words said from within and without expressed themselves, something went amiss, and mist flowed in a distinct circular motion, faster and faster. The force of the swirl flowed the cauldron's water-like contents up and out of its sides. "Come," Cauldron hissed. Aloe Aleph had never heard a cauldron speak in this manner, so distinctly in a vibration that felt heavy and laden. She engaged with astonishment and awe. "Come, come closer." Cauldron wrapped Aloe Aleph in its spray. As she approached the cauldron, she could feel a myriad of sensations. The water-like substance pushed up and over its sides. It lapped and tugged at her. It engaged her energetic filaments, and her now partially embodied material self sparkled brilliant crystal-like drops. Silvery lavender gas with soft white hues spiraled above her, latching on to her filaments, forming snake-like wisps. She vacillated between a sense of dark and light. She could see fractal shadows, unsure from where they emanated. The cauldron gyrated more swiftly, its contents whipping into her. A popping and bursting yellow lava substance wrapped around her. When the lava hissed itself complete, the cauldron shifted direction and churned docile. This swished iridescent sparks of green and pink ether into Aloe Aleph. Her awareness of where she existed and the ether existed was quite prominent, sensing her own boundaries, the boundaries of the cauldron, and the mix of both. Energetically gasping, the cauldron used Aloe Aleph's breath to spin windurchins. This abrupt shift in direction twisted the cauldron's contents, billowing a golden citrine smoke that arched and aimed for Aloe Aleph's womb. Diving deep in and in between stars and galaxies yet known, the cauldron induced a dark red milk-like substance to drip down her insides. Aloe Aleph felt heavy and rooted, which is no small feat for an existence that carries no density. As she more deeply wondered what the cauldron was doing, it stopped spinning, and its contents began to boil and bubble over. "Come," Cauldron hissed again. "Come, see me now." Aloe Aleph leaned into the cauldron. The boiling over bubbles, now a deep indigo, popped and pinged her sight. An overlapping cobwebbed-like veil positioned itself over her corporeal eyes. Her cosmic sight sensed each of the 8 layers, obstructing clarity from mingling with the material. Aloelef repositioned her focus to see more from within than from without, lifting the foggy haze the density offered. This adjustment induced a shape-shifting reaction. In this, she could sense her material body through 4 distinct quadrants. Her essence began to swiftly shift in and out of air, water, fire, and various spirit energies. Being the exceptionally curious creature she was, she explored each section with great ease and patience, finding within each 5 stories that paralleled and proxied each other. And then realization blossomed. These stories, these layers, were of her but expanded and contracted, lost and found within each of its own perceptions and experiences. She was sensing parts of the pieces of herself she had left behind long ago. She continued to explore. Suddenly, she felt pain. In her true spirit form, pain is non-existent, but here, in this dense reality, smothering her ethereal self and layered in a material energy, she felt pain, distress, dislocation. While it intrigued her, she also found it disorienting and deteriorating. Aloelef began to tumble and fall toward the cauldron. In an instant, it expanded to catch her head first. When her perceived crown met the conceived cauldron, lavender sparks ignited a violet flame, and as she tumbled down and further into herself, she flowed further away from that which separated her from remembering, and closer to the 4 distinct filamental tugs calling her home. The fall split her entirely into 5 parts spread across 8 dense pieces of something she could not yet decipher. As she tumbled, the path to the whole of her flashed and popped into her knowing. She saw parts of herself like puzzled pieces falling away. Aloelef knew in order to fully find her way back to all that is, there would need to be a collecting of all these pieces, gathered across the space, time, and water of Pyramid 11's clusters of stars and planets inhabited by a mutating illusion. The further she allows herself to fall into the cauldron of herself, the more likely she will find her pieces, as well as the masks made to erase and the masks made to hide. Can she collect the aspects of herself forgotten, pieced, and hidden in the illusion? Will her pieces and parts outside of her hear the call, feel the tug, remember the way up and in? When all is forgotten, will she remember? And in remembering, will she be able to return to the whole of who she is?